The air in Leisborg, sharp and clean, with the invigorating tang of pine forests clinging to the hills and the omnipresent bite of sea salt from the vast Atlantic, carried the distant, rhythmic clang of a busy shipyard at the harbor mouth. Intertwined with the sounds of construction was the deeper, steady thrum of advanced terrestrial vehicles navigating wide coastal highways, multimodal transporters designed to handle Vinland's diverse terrain. Sleek and powerful, yet built with an eye towards efficiency and environmental integration. Above the city, sleek aircraft with wing designs subtly echoing the elegant curves and strength of ancient longships soared between modern towers. These towers, reaching towards the pale winter sky, were marvels of contemporary architecture, blending glass and steel with innovative timber composites, their forms often incorporating elements of traditional stave church architecture. The vertical lines, the layered roofs, the intricate carvings, and sweeping knotwork patterns woven into structural elements or facade designs. The harbor itself was a dynamic hub. Powerful ice-breaking cargo vessels, their hulls forged from advanced cryogenically resistant alloys, docked alongside swift hydrofoils skimming the surface, and traditional, yet technologically augmented, sailing ships used for coastal trade, fishing, and recreation. Their sails potentially modern composites driven by automated systems alongside classic rigging. It was January 2025, and Leifsborg was more than just a city. It was the vibrant, thriving capital of the Vinland Confederacy, a powerful and distinct nation whose roots stretched back over 1,000 years to the audacious voyages of Norse explorers across the wild North Atlantic. This wasn't the fleeting Landså meadows of historical record. This was a continent fundamentally shaped by a different past. The pivotal divergence, the point where the tapestry of history began to fray from the one we know, occurred in the 11th and 12th centuries. Unlike the temporary and ultimately unsuccessful attempts depicted in our history, Norse voyages to the lands they called Vinland, Markland, and Helluland led to the establishment of permanent, self-sustaining settlements. This enduring success was likely due to a complex confluence of factors. Larger, more politically unified waves of migration provided critical mass. A slightly milder climate eased initial struggles. Crucially, interactions with diverse indigenous populations were complex and adaptive. While conflict occurred, relationships evolved towards uneasy coexistence, vital trade, strategic alliances, and in some areas, significant cultural exchange and intermarriage. These early Norse settlements, though isolated and fragile, received enough later migration and developed self-sufficiency by adapting Norse techniques and adopting indigenous survival skills, slowly growing into distinct societies rooted firmly in North American soil. Over centuries, these settlements coalesced. Coastal groups formed maritime confederacies. Inland, Norse-descended kingdoms and republics emerged, constantly interacting with indigenous nations whose development paths were profoundly altered. While links to Scandinavia fluctuated, a distinct Norse-American identity, blending heritage with North American geography, indigenous influences, and later European interactions solidified. By 2025, Norse North America was a dynamic collection of states. The Vinland Confederacy was a prominent power around the Gulf of St. Lawrence, known for maritime strength, resource extraction, and engineering. Other Norse-influenced nations existed, each with distinct political systems and cultural blends. Old Norse dialects evolved into related Vinlander languages, spoken alongside numerous thriving indigenous languages and later immigrant tongues. Migration patterns were complex. Different groups arrived, finding not empty lands, but established Norse and indigenous societies. Culture was a living blend, saga-telling adapted to modern media, recounting myths and the challenging history of settlement and interaction. Norse mythology, interacting with Christianity and indigenous beliefs, influenced art, literature, values, self-reliance, connection to nature, community, and symbolism. Traditional crafts evolved technologically. Annual things, assemblies, existed at various levels of governance, embodying ancient democratic traditions. Technology reflected this history and environment. Building on Norse expertise, they excelled in marine engineering, icebreakers, hydrofoils, deep-sea tech, cold climate resource extraction, and material science, lightweight, durable composites incorporating local materials. Their deep understanding of North American ecosystems, informed by indigenous knowledge, led to advancements in environmental technology, sustainable resource management, and bioengineering adapted to local flora-fauna. Technology prioritized robustness, practicality, and integration with challenging landscapes. The presence of these established Norse states fundamentally altered European exploration and subsequent history. Later Europeans found lands claimed and defended by organized Norse-descended nations and powerful indigenous confederacies, often armed and experienced. This led to different colonization patterns, trade posts, limited settlements, complex alliances and rivalries, rather than easy conquest. Conflict and interaction were complex across centuries. The United States, if it emerged, would face formidable powers to the north and west. Our story focuses on Astrid, a young geoengineer at the Vinland Confederacy's Ministry of Resource Management and Exploration. Astrid embodied the modern Vinlander blend, her lineage woven from old Vinlander families and indigenous ancestors, Innu from Markland, who integrated centuries ago. This mixed heritage was common, shaping families and perspectives. Her work led expeditions into challenging northern territories being surveyed and integrated. Her teams used cutting-edge tech, survey drones, ground-penetrating radar, environmental sensors. Crucially, these were augmented by traditional knowledge from Norse settlers adapted to the North and indigenous peoples who lived there millennia. One crisp morning, her team surveyed a remote coastal inlet in Markland using sonic mapping for mineral deposits. Data showed an unusual, non-geological anomaly deep beneath the permafrost, a large, structured object. Run a high-resolution scan, Astrid instructed Frey, her drone operator. Frey, a young man whose coastal Innu and Norse whaler ancestors, gave him an almost innate understanding of this environment, adjusted the drone controls with practiced ease. Match against known patterns. Could be old settlement or geology, doesn't look like either. The high-resolution scan and radar revealed a massive complex structure buried deep. Not geological, not known settlement patterns. Its scale suggested engineering far beyond what was thought possible in the early centuries after the divergence by any known group. Cross-reference with global historical archives, Astrid ordered, accessing the Confederacy's secure network. A collaborative archive including Norse, European, and indigenous records. The AI analysis sifted records. Results were baffling. Engineering hinted at an impossible blend: Norse stonework, indigenous subterranean methods, and elements centuries ahead of European development, or utterly unknown. The nearest match for some structural components came from fragmented records of a legendary, reclusive indigenous group rumored to possess unique technological knowledge, whose interactions with early Norse were shrouded in myth. Further analysis combining structural data with seismic geology suggested a massive, heavily reinforced subterranean complex designed to withstand extreme conditions and seismic events. Its purpose remained unknown, adding a layer of profound mystery. This shouldn't exist, Astrid thought, a jolt running through her. Her mother's Innu family spoke of ancient spirits of the land, of places of power hidden deep. Her father's Vinlander ancestors were practical engineers and explorers. This discovery felt like a collision of those worlds within her, a challenge to the very foundation of her identity. It hinted at a forgotten, potentially world-altering chapter, where technology and knowledge exchange between Norse and indigenous peoples, or perhaps an independent ancient power, was far more advanced than any saga or history text recorded. The site's location near a historical boundary between early Norse and powerful indigenous nations amplified the implications. A region where alliances and knowledge-sharing weren't just common, but vital for survival. She knew this discovery carried immense weight, far beyond archaeology. If this technology was real, It could represent a strategic advantage or a catastrophic risk. If the builders were indigenous, it could dramatically shift power dynamics and historical narratives, potentially sparking political disputes over territory and knowledge ownership with neighboring nations, including the Innu, who might hold ancestral claims or unique understanding. It could challenge Vinland's self-image as a nation built primarily on Norse ingenuity adapting to a new world, forcing a reckoning with the full depth of indigenous contributions and perhaps even the existence of unforeseen ancient powers. She contacted her superiors, reporting the anomaly and requesting an on-site ground team. "Recommend immediate highest security classification," she added, her voice tight, "and initiate consultation protocols with the Innu Nation leadership. This touches deep history and potentially deep-seated tensions. This required coordination across multiple ministries and nations, a stark reminder of Vinland's complex geopolitical reality." As she began preparing for the ground expedition, securing permits, consulting with Innu representatives to ensure their involvement, assembling a diverse team, Astrid looked out at the raw, beautiful, formidable Markland landscape. It was a land layered with history, human and geological, now revealing secrets that could reshape the future. Her work, like the Confederacy itself, was a product of those layers, a blend of Norse ambition, indigenous knowledge, and a unique path forged across the Western Ocean over 1,000 years. The legacy of those early voyages and the complex interactions that followed continued to shape the challenges and discoveries of Norse America in 2025, a distinct nation on the cusp of uncovering a truth that could challenge its very existence. The reporting process was intricate, a high-stakes dance between Confederacy protocols and essential diplomacy. The anomaly's location near the Innu Nation's traditional territories meant centuries of treaties, alliances, and shared history dictated immediate notification and consultation. Astrid, drawing on her ministry training and connections, drafted the report carefully, emphasizing the mystery and non-invasive approach. The ministry understood the volatility. A discovery involving ancient indigenous land or knowledge could ignite political tensions. Permission for the ground team was swift, underscoring the discovery's importance. Astrid's assembled team was a microcosm of modern Vinland. Among the engineers and technicians were essential cultural liaisons from local Innu clans, elders with deep landscape knowledge, and Dr. Solveig Eriksdotter, a sharp-eyed linguistic anthropologist specializing in ancient symbols. There was also Bjorn, the lead permafrost engineer, stoic and methodical, with a reputation for solving impossible cold climate structural problems. The journey north from Leifsborg was a logistical feat. A high-speed maglev carried heavy gear through subarctic terrain. The final leg used advanced hovercraft guided by satellite and Innu navigational knowledge. The air was intensely frigid, the snow-covered landscape starkly beautiful under a pale sun. Despite the cold and the anticipation, there were moments of shared humanity. Bjorn patiently explained permafrost mechanics to a curious liaison. Eriksdotter shared a story of deciphering obscure runic fragments. Astrid and Frey quietly discussed the drone's quirks. The vastness of Markland fostered a quiet camaraderie, a shared understanding of the land's power. Arriving, they set up a base camp designed for extreme cold, blending composites and traditional insulation. Geothermal units provided power. The drone and radar pinpointed the structure, dozens of meters down. Accessing the site required care. Instead of excavation, they used thermal lances and precision drills to bore a narrow shaft through permafrost and rock, inserting a shielded access tube. Down went a specialized exploration drone with cameras, LiDAR, and sensors. The drone feed came alive. The shaft opened into a large vaulted chamber. Air was cold but dry. Walls were massive, precisely cut stone, fitted without mortar. Norse-like, but unprecedented in scale and precision. Intricate knotwork, subtly different from known patterns, carved into pillars, seemed to possess an underlying geometric logic, hinting at function beyond decoration. Incredible, Astrid thought, guiding the drone. The scale, the execution, it surpassed anything documented from that era. The knotwork felt alive with implied complexity. It wasn't just a building, it felt engineered. Moving deeper, corridors and chambers unfolded. No signs of habitation, no hearths, tools, waste. The absence of life in such a massive, clearly manufactured space was chilling. It felt like a vault, a tomb, or a time capsule. What was its purpose? Then a sensor anomaly in a small chamber, a metallic object embedded in the wall. Astrid zoomed the drone. A large, perfectly circular disc, dull gray, inscribed with intricate, concentric symbols unlike any known. Dr. Eriksdotter leaned forward, her breath catching. "By Odin's beard," she whispered, forgetting herself. "And the spirits of the earth, they echo. They strongly echo the symbols of the Anishinaabe Ashina, the Star People legends among some of the southern nations, and elements from the Innu tales of the Hidden Ones, but altered, unified." Her voice, normally calm and academic, vibrated with shock and dawning understanding. Scans of the disc and stone followed. The metal, an alloy unknown to modern science, incredibly dense, resisting analysis. The stone, reinforced, integrated with the disc. The structure's design, depth, and resistance to seismic activity pointed to a purpose of deep preservation. A repository, yes, but perhaps for something not meant to be found easily or at all. The thrill returned, now a sharp, dangerous edge. This wasn't just history. This was potentially a living secret. The legends of the hidden people, often dismissed as myth, seemed to converge here with unexpected technological reality. The symbols, echoing across different indigenous mythologies and appearing integrated with architecture, hinting at Norse principles. What kind of impossible synthesis did this represent? Had there been an ancient, advanced culture in North America, interacting with both early Norse and indigenous peoples in ways utterly forgotten? What knowledge was sealed here? What power? A low, intermittent sensor reading from within the disc added a new layer of unease. Not an energy signature they recognized, fluctuating subtly. Bjorn frowned at his console. Residual power source? Or something reacting to our presence? The ambiguity was unsettling. An elder, Thomas, cleared his throat softly. The tales say some places should not be disturbed. That knowledge has guardians, seen and unseen. His words, quiet and steeped in millennia of tradition, resonated with a weight that technology couldn't measure. This discovery wasn't just academic. It was an immediate, palpable risk, extracting the disc, exploring the complex. It wasn't just a technical challenge, but a step into the unknown. Was the structure stable? Were there active defenses or systems? Who or what built this place? And what were they trying to hide or preserve? The immediate priority: establish a secure perimeter, analyze the sensor readings intensely, and prepare a plan for carefully accessing the chamber to retrieve the disc. This required unprecedented cooperation, navigating the cutting edge of Vinlander engineering alongside the profound, cautionary wisdom of the Innu elders. Astrid began coordinating the next steps. Looking out at the vast, silent Markland wilderness, she felt the weight of centuries. This hidden complex was a node, connecting ancient myths, forgotten history, and a future suddenly fraught with unknown possibilities and potential dangers. Her work, her heritage, the very identity of Vinland, all were about to be fundamentally challenged by the secrets buried deep beneath the ice. The long journey across the waves 1,000 years ago had led not just to a new land, but to a history far stranger and perhaps more perilous than anyone had ever dared to imagine.